No, I know. He's moving up in the road.
Like the Jeffersons.
Yeah. Good analogy. We ready?
Well, maybe not.
I'm just waiting for the Zoom to get on.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to this month's meeting of the Redevelopment Commission. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have 3 packets of minutes to approve. I imagine we should do them individually. So as hopefully everyone besides me has read the August 13th. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. The September 10th, which was a larger packet. If anyone has a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Finally, the briefest meeting in redevelopment history, 4 minutes. The minutes from September 24th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So this morning, we generally have under General Redevelopment Commission, we usually have our budget updates. What we're going to do is push those off to our September 22nd meeting because not only do we have budget updates, but we also have funding we need to appropriate that'll be reimbursement funding from AWS. So we'll just carry all financial matters to the meeting on the 22nd. Next item on the agenda is New Carlisle Economic Development Area, Resolution 2024-17. I'd like to make a brief presentation about this, and then there'll need to be a public hearing after the presentation and items. So this is Resolution 2024-17. This is the confirming resolution to Resolution 2024-15, which was passed by the Redevelopment Commission, declaring expansion and some other additions and amendments to the New Carlisle Economic Development Area. The specific purpose or the purposes for this amendment were to expand the area in the northwest part of the current economic development area footprint, expand the area, add 304 acres to the area, 34 additional properties, and then take that and take some of the area that was previously in allocation area number 1 and then create a new allocation area number 5. This allocation area number 5 that appears in the maps and the development plan would be really an area that would be on the east edge of the town of New Carlisle and allows us, the Redevelopment Commission, to partner with the town on some projects to help move forward economic development, utility improvements, and bike and pedestrian access in that eastern part of the area. So that really is the goal for the expansion in that area. And the projects listed, there's 3 properties potentially that the county would work with the town to acquire and clear and prep for economic development purposes. The second reason for the plan amendment is to create designated taxpayer status for all of the properties associated with Amazon Web Service. So there's the Amazon Web Service site north, or the SBN 100 site, and then there's the other site, which is the southern site, south of State Road 2, so that would be Amazon Web Service Site 2, or SBN 201 and 210. And so by designating those properties, the tax key numbers as designated taxpayers, that will allow us to collect personal property into the tax increment finance area, the allocation areas. Presently, St. Joe Energy Center, Cleveland Cliffs Tech and Coat, Airgas are all listed as designated, and General Motors, Samsung site, are all designated taxpayers within the New Carlisle Economic Development Area. And then the third reason for the project amendment, and really the substance of Resolution 2024-18, is to sell a small bond to allow for property acquisition specific to that future allocation area number 5, and then also acquisition along State Road 2, specifically in the northeast and southeast quadrants of the intersection of State Road 2 and Larison, to further the interchange or road improvement projects in that corridor. And then again, utility work, property acquisition, and some other projects in that allocation area number 5. Again, the subject of the bond, we'll talk more specifically about that in 2024-18. If there's any questions about Resolution 2024-17, I'd be happy to answer.
Joe? Okay. At this time, we'd like to open up the public hearing. If you come to the podium, wish to speak, I believe you're limited to 3 minutes. Just state your name and address. Anyone online? Sure.
Is it pro or con? Does it matter?
No, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Steve Francis, Juday Lake Drive, Clay Township. Yeah, I want to speak to, well, first of all, my background is as an economist, training in public policy and economic development at the University of Notre Dame. So a lot of people don't understand TIF areas and allocations and all of this, and I just wanted to have that background presented to some extent. Not an expert in it by any means. But I do want to take issue to some extent with the process. Number one, I was preparing comments on the declaratory resolution and then immediately, which was only approved last month, and then, and then now the confirmatory resolution is before you, before the county council has even heard the declaratory resolution, which I think they're hearing tonight. So unfortunately, you haven't received those written comments, but I do want to make comments on the Amazon, the designated taxpayer, and the expansion of the EDA. On the designated taxpayer, I'm not against development out there. What I am speaking up for are the taxpayers of St. Joe County. When you lock up to $1 or $2 billion worth of funding, worth of tax revenues in a smaller TIF area, it's not available for the general tax base. It doesn't go into the general fund. And what you're doing here by taking the personal property taxes of the equipment taxes on the Amazon project, a huge mega project, $11 billion or more, then you're locking those funds up to only be used in service of the TIF area. And those funds will not be available for the larger public and the needs of the greater St. Joe County. You're going to have, new sewers out in the TIF area, which is great, but I can't get sewers up in Clay Township. So the county has needs. I object to that, to the designating Amazon and locking up $1.1 billion in tax revenues over the next 35 years in the TIF area, which is constantly expanding. So I would urge you to vote against this, to table it at least until the council has a hearing on the declaratory resolution. On the expansion, we have tried to get the core development areas, support the core development areas where the industrial development should occur. But that has constantly been enlarged. So we don't have faith in the statements that this new area will only be used to serve the town of New Carlisle. We want to know what's going to go into this new area. The $5 million bond will be spent mostly down south, several miles down south in terms of the interchange, I think. There may be some properties purchased, but this area under the comp plan, previous and the comp plan emerging, is supposed to be transitional to the industrial area. So we hope and pray that what Mr. Shalio says, this is going to be bike and pedestrian paths, some really light commercial perhaps,
Your 3 minutes is done. Thank you for your
and doesn't
comments.
become industrialized. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Yeah, I'm seeing no one on hand. So I will close this portion of the public hearing on Resolution 2024-17. Any discussion?
Bill, to the first point that was made, not creating this ability to collect a personal property tax. If we don't do that, it doesn't mean that we're going to tax and go into the general fund, right? The personal property taxes
Right.
won't be collected.
Well, the personal property taxes will be collected as they typically are collected in the county. So they would go into the general fund or go into other uses. Now, where that money goes, once it goes into those funds, you know, is dependent on the budget process.
So if we don't create it, the personal property tax collection would go into the general fund and not the TIF funds.
That's correct. Now, the ability to collect it within the economic development area is to do, you know, collect more revenue to do more projects. And as we've talked, tax money, TIF money collected in a economic development area is to be used in or to serve the area. And how we grow the area to serve projects or do projects is kind of relative to that plan. I guess I would make one other note, just from a process standpoint, the order of which a resolution like this moves through the process. It starts with the redevelopment commission, goes to the area plan commission, goes to the board of commissioners. Those two bodies approve the fact that the declaratory resolution was approved by the redevelopment commission. The council has had a presentation for the plan change. That was done 2 weeks ago at its meeting. It goes tonight, but from a calendar standpoint, from a process standpoint, everything's being done in the statutory process order.
So after this goes to the council tonight?
That's correct.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Or second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Resolution 2024-18.
Yeah, 2024-18, I'm going to defer to council for this presentation, please.
Good morning, members of the commission. I'm Tom Everett with Barnes & Thornburg at 201 South Main Street in South Bend. This resolution authorizes the appropriation of the proceeds of the redevelopment district bonds. The redevelopment commission authorized the issuance of those bonds at the meeting on September 10th. And then this resolution then appropriates the proceeds of the bonds once sold, along with any investment earnings on the bonds, to allow the bonds proceeds to be spent in furtherance of the project. And as Bill mentioned, the project that these bonds are funding include various property acquisition, road improvement, and utility infrastructure projects that are located in or serve the new Carlisle economic development area. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hearing no questions, I would like to open up the public hearing portion of Resolution 2024-18. Again, anyone is welcome to speak. Just name and address, and you're limited to 3 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Everett.
Yes, Steve Francis, Judy Lake Drive again. I don't want to reiterate what I've said before, but I do want to correct one impression from the previous discussion, and that is this resolution itself, as Mr. Shalio said, does not go to the council tonight. This resolution, the resolution that goes to the council is the declaratory resolution from before. So you're perhaps tabling this would not have prevented the council from hearing it tonight in any way, shape, or form. The declaratory resolution has not been heard at the council. You haven't received full feedback from the public in order to make a decision. And as you found out, it does go into the general fund. And I'm very concerned about these funds being locked up, and that will be presented at the council in more detail. Hope you will be listening. Second, on the bond, as I said, I mean, you had a $50 million bond issued for the GM properties that's being used appropriately, no question there. You have $114 million provided by Amazon to pay for water and sewer. You've got a potential that will be expanded if new tenants come into the area. $5 million to say that is being used and the town of New Carlisle is going to benefit really greatly from that with this expanded EDA is, I think, kind of a fig leaf in some sense. The $5 million bond, I'm not sure why there aren't funds available right now to help pay for some of that activity down on the intersection of Larison and Stu. $5 million more may be necessary for property acquisition. I'd like to know how much is going to be spent up in allocation area 5 before you vote versus funds spent down 2 miles south at the interchange, because that interchange, very expensive if it goes forward, costs $55–60 million. County has a big portion of that. So I'm not urging that you don't approve the bond. I'm just asking that there be more information provided to the public at your meetings and prior to your meetings, seriously, so that we can judge as to whether we support it or not, and that we're not using the town as sort of a way to get decisions made, because I think the town has received very little benefits in relation to the disruption that they're experiencing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience also wish to speak? Anyone online? We will close the public hearing on Resolution 2024-18. Any questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So the next resolution is Resolution 2024-19. This is a project, the Nespadjani Ditch relocation project we've been talking about for a long time. Project that is moving ahead, nearly complete. It really is amazing the amount of work that's been done on this project since it started. But as projects of this scale and this magnitude have, periodically we have change orders that we need to address. This project is being managed by the Drainage Board, and so it's really a Drainage Board project in which the Redevelopment Commission is providing funds. Yesterday at the Drainage Board meeting, the Drainage Board approved this change order that's being presented to you, subject to Redevelopment Commission approval for funding. The funding amount is $142,027. This provides some additional construction work, additional structure work that needed to be done as part of the development of the project. Again, it's amazing the amount of work that's been done on this. When it's done, it will be probably one of the most state-of-the-art ditches in the region, a two-stage ditch. It's amazing. We've got both structures set, both for the Fillmore Drive truck crossing into the GM site. The employee entrance structure has been set. So next time we take a site tour of that area, we'll take you and show you the ditch that you're building, but it really is a thing of beauty. So we would ask for your approval of Resolution 2024-19, please.
Is it your belief that this might be the last funds necessary? I don't know where we're at with the entire construction process.
Yeah, so we're nearing the end of the project. I don't anticipate any additional change orders. There may be a small closeout change order or something like that. We've been very lucky building this ditch in that it's been dry most of the summer, so we haven't had to fight, construction erosion, things like that as part of the project. We've had a couple of issues here and there along the way, but for the most part, it's been a pretty seamless project just based on the weather. So as we get into the fall, winter season, something could happen, but we don't anticipate that.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So over the last year or year and a half as we've been moving forward with these various IEC projects. We've done all the construction design, we've done a lot of purchasing, we've done a lot of all these other pieces and parts. But as we really start to get to a point where we're kind of wrapping things up and putting a bow on the project, one of the last pieces that's really come to light that we really need to do is the integration of all of the sites through some theming, landscaping, signage coordination, things like that. We've, as we look at the intersection 2 and Larison, there's a sign that's been up at the intersection for Tech and Coat advertising its truck movements and truck location for probably since day one of the site. We've got to move that sign as part of the construction project. We've got to move some other signage. So one of the things we've talked about, not only with Amazon, but GM and now International Proving Grounds, no longer Navistar Proving Grounds, but the International Proving Grounds with its recent name change, Bendix Wood and some other partners along the corridor, is that we really need to have kind of a State Road 2 corridor identity. So the project proposal before you today from DLZ really will do that. The goal is to create a high-level corridor plan from Timothy on the west to Tulip Road on the east, really setting in opportunity to do all those elements, coordinated landscaping, coordinated signage, working with NDOT on how it addresses the center medians and center median sections. This is really kind of a neat way to tie all this together. And so what I'd ask is for your approval for this DLZ professional service proposal for a master corridor landscape plan. Total amounts of this phase of the study is $75,200. And again, I think it really is going to be we're developing a grand area. You need to have some grand vision to go with that. So we think this is a great way to do that and would ask for your approval for this professional service proposal, please.
Is this you say a conceptual plan, they'll come up with a plan, or they'll come up with a buffet of plans to choose from?
So it'll be a high-level concept plan that'll have buffet elements in it. For example, as a couple of meetings ago, we approved a contract with Lawson Fisher to design a frontage road from Strawberry Road or Larison South to the International Proving Grounds across the front of the Amazon site. We have a weird little buffer area there between the two, about 150 feet of kind of a no man's land that we need to landscape. There's improvements we want to make at Bendix Woods. There's some stuff that Navistar is going to be doing. GM's going to have a site. So there's going to be some buffet elements that'll give some different options for those areas. But the goal is, and just because we know that maintenance is such a premium, we don't want to do a high-level concept plan where we create a massive landscape plan that requires intensive maintenance, because we just, we've got to focus on roads, we've got to focus on other things. We can't be out there doing a lot of extra specialized landscaping. So we want to create a look, a feel, and again, that's the buffet element concept is probably the best way to describe it. So we can really look to see what we can afford, what we can maintain on the other side of it. And so that will be the goal, create the high-level plan, some element concepts that we can pick and choose from, and then put it all together.
With legacy costs being part of the,
There's going to have to be some examination of that. See, that's part of the challenge with TIF is you can use TIF to build, you can't use TIF to do long-term maintenance. So how do what we design and build into the area really fit into others' long-term maintenance and things like that?
So is there a motion to approve the professional service agreement?
motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So the last item on the front page is IEC Paving Project 2024. So you might remember earlier this year, the Highway Department and the county engineer came to the Redevelopment Commission and said, we were going to spend $1.8 million you'd authorized for us on a highway garage. We found that we had money to do other things. We'd like to convert that money into paving projects, and specifically paving projects out in the Indiana Enterprise Center. So the map that you see, kind of the last page of the packet, are all of the roads that have been paved or plan to be paved as part of this project. Now, we did a lot of top coating in some places, but other areas saw some paving that hasn't been done in a number of years. Snowberry Road probably hasn't been paved since it was originally built, for example. But with that, when you put new paving in, sometimes you have to do shoulder work and some other things. So for that 1.8 million, we got a lot of bang for the buck. A lot of trucks, a lot of cars, a lot of people are using Edison Road right now, Walnut Road, and some of these roads. So it has been a major difference maker as far as the quality of roads. Edison Road in particular, our friends at NIPSCO did a major project where about every 150, 200 yards, they cut big sections of the road out to put in a new high-pressure gas line. Well, that leaves a big patch every 150, every 200 feet. So the ability to have a clean surface from one end to the other on Edison in the IEC area was a huge upgrade for the residents, for the people that work out there. So I just wanted to show you what your 1.8 million did. So just appreciate your work, as does the county engineer, so. I also would note that, as you see though, 1.8 million of paving doesn't go a long way either. So when we look at yearly paving budgets, it just shows how little paving can be done for that kind of money too, so. The last update, real quick, is on the back page, under solar project economic development area. That would be the Honeysuckle area. And I would just note that on October 17th, they're doing a ribbon cutting event. And I believe that that'll be the first official time they turn on the power to the site. The power may be on to some degree, but I think that's the date of the big flip of the switch. So I would just note that that project is moving forward. We've been working with Steve Dalton and Daniel Dalton on the revenue stream. That was, if you remember that model, it was kind of the weird TIF model that was put together for that, with payments that'll go to the schools, the underlying taxing units, and then to other parties over a period of time, and to help pay off the bond for the project, the developer purchase bond. All of that money will start flowing into the TIF allocation area next year, so that'll be the first year that we'll have a payment to the schools and payment to those other parties. So just note that October 17th is that date. And then lastly, just at the bottom, we will have a special meeting of the Redevelopment Commission on October 22nd here in this room at 9 o'clock. That's a Tuesday. And we anticipate opening bids for the water treatment plant project and then doing some financial matters. It should be an efficient meeting. Hopefully a little longer than 4 minutes.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Shalio? Okay. So we will move to public comment. Same rules apply, 3-minute limit. And just have you state your name and address.
Morning, Dan Caruso, 305 Compton Street, New Carlisle. I have really just a couple of concerns. Having worked on the county comprehensive land use plan along with the town comprehensive land use plan, I've pointed out to several people, Olivia Nix, some people seated here, there are differences in the two maps on what goes where. And in places the county map doesn't jibe with the town map. And especially along Wintergreen Road, Marvel Lane, Timothy Road, up in that area, in the new EDA 5. And now that we've brought the the County Redevelopment Commission into the equation here, kind of designating where the money gets spent and approving that, I'm concerned that the county map, I want to know what map takes precedent where there's a difference in what they say goes in these areas. Have we wasted our time sitting down putting these comprehensive plans together, especially for the town, where we designate, we'd like to see this, we'd like to see mixed housing here, we'd like to see green space, agricultural areas here. My concerns are that there's going to be some behind the doors negotiations, and with the RDC handling the purse strings, what I sat with the town and worked on our comp plan is going to be disregarded because somebody's got better plans, they think, for this than what those of us from the town thought we'd like to see in that area and put into a map and spent our time to keep our area as close to how we'd like to see it at the end of the day. And we're just concerned that, and I'm not the only one, so when they say the town is behind this, the town is not behind, the people elected by the town may be behind this, but I'm telling you, the town is not behind this. It's all being done with a lot of questions still to be answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Online? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second, Mr. Lane,
Aye.
Mr. Horvath,
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you. Blue is just me.
Up to-